Aftermath of the U.S. Pluto return and grace. Soul Arts Astrology Communique and 8-day calendar, March 3rd to the 10th, 2026. Welcome. I'm your host, Mary-Laurence Bevington. Thanks for stopping by. This week's communique and calendar. All times given are Eastern Standard Time, GMT minus 5 hours. Content airs in tenths in this one. Collective consciousness grows via rests in the valley and also by climbing to the mountain top. I'll say that again because I don't know if that came through. Collective consciousness grows via rests in the valley and also by climbing to the mountain top. If you're a yogi in the temple in loving kindness meditation, your work's vital. I'm a householder yogini and practice within my home and in the world. For now, I aspire to speak for the dead, the oppressed, and for Eurydice walking towards the light. That said, you may find this communique more shadowy than you wish. Then again, it may break the cloud veil, spill a moonbeam through your window. We shall see. Quote, for murder, though it have no tongue, will speak. Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. Here's another quote. Let us find inner freedom in each lucky moment that we encounter, like a sun basking butterfly that finds peace on a cherry blossom petal. Unquote. That was said by Eric Pevernaghi. There's a chance you can see a close-up picture of a cherry blossom in bloom, and the photo's by Alexander Lonyav. It's really beautiful, lots of pinks. And he's on Unsplash if you want to look at his work and maybe download it or purchase. Last communique, we focused on change and noticing what you're experiencing in present time and what may come to be around your river bend. By way of metacognition, we witness our process. As awareness builds, we're supported in naming, claiming, and aiming for our dreams. In this communique, we explore how to emerge from the inferno. The US's Pluto return said hello on January 27, 2008, when Pluto entered, meaning Pluto flew through the same degrees of the zodiac he'd flown through when the US was born. And I actually realized that should be when Pluto entered Capricorn. So sorry if that was a little bit confusing. That's really looking at that influence at a wide arc because he takes so long in a sign, but Pluto did enter Capricorn in 2008. So he was approaching the US Pluto return, which he wouldn't really get to kind of strong influence till 2020. And then it got exact and really strong in 2022, but I'll read about that now. The return peaked on February 20th, July 10th, and on December 28th of 2022, and was highly activated from 2020 to 2024 due to retrograde motion, years within which we crossed the Rubicon. All stems from an astrological chart made for the US birth. That chart shows the planet Pluto on the 27th degree of the sign of Capricorn, the degree it has returned to or been near in recent years. Data from the Sibley chart set for 4 July 1776 at 5:10 p.m. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, US. There are 4 charts that are considered the Sibley charts set at different times of day. The 5:10 p.m. one is thought to be the most accurate. That's, I guess, the story that at least my book told me. Okay, Pluto in Roman myth and in an archetypal manner symbolizes wealth via the deep seeds, gems, magma, minerals, precious metals, and rocks in the subterranean underbelly. He's an airbrushed and also richer version of the Greek deity Hades. Saturn sired Pluto, ruler of the underworld. Pluto assumed the god of riches title because the Romans conflated him with another deity, Plutos, the Greek god of wealth. Hades' abduction of Persephone resounded in the days before Pluto with uncensored violence, which diluted by association and after the Romans renamed and retold the source myths. Once the new version spread, Pluto and Persephone were worshipped in Roman temples as Pluton in Kore. Moreover, they were given souls in the underworld. The details of her abduction were scrubbed from the appropriations. But some reverberation remains from Hades in that we often carry fear of change, especially the dramatic changes that come when Pluto transits and aspects occur. When a Pluto return happens after 246 plus years, levels of transformation in the categories of agriculture, abduction, death, destruction, the horn of plenty, loss, mining, nocturnal thunder. I kind of love that one actually. Nourishment, quest for a goal, rare earths, seismic shakes, times of purification, treasure, volcanism, and more tend to heighten. Now, we're past the Pluto return of the US, but residue and the seeds planted linger. Plus, the outer planets dance in a sextile to a trine now. From 1965 to 1966, Uranus and Pluto conjuncted in Virgo, the sign of the recent total lunar eclipse on March 3rd. Also, all accentuates with Neptune and Saturn at the zodiac's zero, the mouth of the Ouroboros. All told, that's the snake eating its tail, but you already knew that. All told, we have maneuvered through a series of strong events. Luna, our moon conjuncted Uranus on February 23rd, a reactivation of the way the eclipse on February 17th squared Uranus, and near the anniversary of the US Pluto return's exactness in 2022 and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Mercury stationed retrograde on February 26, a hidden 11-day, and Mars squared, that's a 90-degree aspect, Uranus at 11:21 a.m. on February 27th. Meanwhile, Mercury conjuncted Venus at 12:35 a.m. on February 28th, a hidden 22-day. This is a side note. I actually just included the specs there with time of day and stuff like that because, boy, February 28th into March 1st was huge. And really the hours leading up to that too, because that's when Netanyahu and Trump attacked Iran. More to say there, but I'm not going to say it right now. Okay. 22 embodies drive as well as aspirations to change the world. When it's hidden, it sometimes acts in unpredictable ways. So that's numerology, just in case that wasn't clear. Eclipse season continues as our sun streaks in lunar node land for a spell longer, though we may feel some eclipse season resolution on the March 20th equinox. Theoretically, it's a little bit like we'll feel a fade of eclipse seasons all the way to the next eclipse season sometimes. But it really starts to fade out. There are these times where it gets reactivated, like the way Luna or Moon crossed Uranus on the 23rd of February, and that activated the relationship of Uranus with that eclipse, which was a tense one. So, anywho, they have some activity even after they're gone. They're just sort of harbingers of change, as it were. Okay, so where the heck were we? Here we go. Right now, our lunar nodes are in Pisces and in Virgo, have been since January 11th, 2025, and will be until July 26, 2026. The Ouroboros, funny enough, it's like Ketu and Ragu, who are the mouth and the tail, basically the North Node and the South Node in Vedic astrology, that we will talk about later too. But it's just funny we're mentioning that was mentioned earlier, but in reference to the ecliptic of the zodiac, the beginning being the mouth of the zodiac and going all the way to the tail, which would be the last degree of Pisces. Okay, carrying on. Now, eclipses may usher in permanent change or plant seeds that grow change. All that we feel above and more is held by the magnificence of Jupiter stationing direct on March 10th. May this shift bring expansive creativity to our problem solving, flow, and connection within our everyday lives. And as for all of the growth we're experiencing, let's keep in mind that all will be well one way or another, for grace abides. Given that we are in a unified field, all theoretically rights on the opposite wing of the dove, the wing of peace. A teaching from Patanjali's Sutra asks that we see both wings, both poles, but then give focused attention to the lighter energies to move through the darkness. May silver linings and the better angels of everyone's nature prevail. May all be held in grace, and may miracles find all beings in all worlds. Okay, y'all know the drill. The rest of this calendar is a sky overview that I actually think is really neat because it tells you like where the inner planets are, where the outer planets are, that kind of thing, what's in retrograde, when it will go or come out of retrograde. And then it spills towards some outer transit stuff. And then there's the daily calendar. This is kind of a long one because it's March 3rd all the way to the 10th. And I do have a paywall up because I make some of my money this way. I'm a working person, so that's the deal. If you can support, great. If you can't, no worries at all. I completely understand. And let's go ahead and just have a moment of gratitude. And I appreciate your stopping by and yours in carrying the light.